Hi everyone, new demo for a new track. I'll explain how I made it. Let's dig into it immediately. Alright, this is technically some kind of electro boogie funk. Call it the way you want it. I mean a trip hop, whatever suits you. Let's start digging into the relationship in between the bass and the drums to see how I built it. Okay, the first two elements that you've noted is that there is a bass made by a memory Moog, which is a synth that I know in its original hardware, so the original Mini Moog from the early 80s, and a sort of synth guitar, which has been taken from a performance by a musician. And the two together create something like a Daniele Baldelli cosmic effect, because the bass is not entirely done by a completely square sound, but something which is a sort of envelope that goes dragging a little bit differently from in terms of the metronome. So it's getting a little bit late, and the guitar seems to be dragging like it's trying to get to be on time, but it's not. This is an effect which I created willingly, and wanting to create a groove. The groove, it's the same rules for musicians, the same rule in the digital world. When you put everything into Logic, you have to create all the delays in between the parts in order to create a groove, and this is exactly how it works. Also note that the hand claps are separate hand claps made one by one. You have to note that the details here is very important. Details are very important because the claps are, some of them are slightly late, and again this is wanted because the bass is anticipated, and the bass on the one is a bit late as well, but in terms of envelope only, because the attack is on time, and the guitar, or the synth guitar, it's slightly dragging. Let's try to listen to them all together. With all these instruments I can create elaborate groove, but that doesn't mean that people without this hardware cannot do it. It's just a matter of technique. It's just a matter of how you delay sounds and how you make little parts that interact with others. Like, for example, here the synth guitar and the bass on the one, and the sounds that does do do. You understand that are all in a sort of syncopation where they respond to each other in the big tradition of the African American music, and it's also an homage to a certain extent. Now let's listen to the drums, how they work. They are quite square. So I hope you understood this part. Now let's go to the quite difficult part, which is the modulation. Let's try to deconstruct how is formed and how was created. Okay, this is quite an elaborate part. There is technically the leading sound is a sort of, you know, that kind of sound of carry on. I don't know how to call it. It's quite one of the many presets that I have. I didn't even program. It might be, for example, something from the Obirate Matrix 1000 from Viscount, which I have here, but you cannot see. Or it could be a JVU 2080, again one of the many presets that I liked, and I simply put some EQ and a reverberation and no more than that, in order to EQ, of course, to put high frequencies without, of course, dissonances, to be a bit more in front, and the rest is technically just a little bit of limiting on the same sound. Let's listen to the single parts of the modulation to see how they interact together. This is a ESM, that is a synthesizer that is present in Logic, but also for Ableton user. I believe you have millions of soft synths that are similar to this one. And I've chosen among, I don't know, so many in trial and error experimentation that went on for weeks, and I found these, and I thought that complementing this with the bass of the memory Moog that does whoa, whoa, it's absolutely magic. It creates the magic, and all the rest is an elaborate, intricate part of percussions, hand claps, and drumming. But as I showed in the part before, where we showed the structure of the main verse. Now this is the first part. Now let's listen to the second part of this complex part. Okay, now let's listen to the single part for each of these, because you will hear that there is another guitar which is mixed very low, which create a sort of counterbalance with the synth, the SM one that we listened to before. Now, to understand the part of the intricate intermingled parts, let's listen to this block where there is a shaker. Okay, so these sounds are as follows. These kind of very pitched sound being wah, 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 is the TG77 from Yamaha that I have here. Sorry for the lack of vision and the lack of shooting of that. And the other one, it's the TX81Z, the guitar mixed low, and the other one is a digital ESM from Logic, and they all interact together. I play them in isolation and I put them together in order to give you an idea how they interact. It took weeks and if not months to find the right combination, the right EQ, the right effects. Basically, there is a little bit of compressing or limiting on each of the sound with a little reverb. In some cases, the reverb are taken from, processed externally. You cannot see them, but there is an Ensoniq DP4 Plus here. There is an Eventide H3000 here, and sometimes I go externally. It's just a matter of having it or not, but it doesn't make a difference in terms of practicality, because if you have plugins, you can do fantastically with the Wave series of the UAD or any other kind of excellent set of plugin. Now plugins are very good and they can do everything that I've done here with other types of synthesizer. The reason why I use these synths is simply because I'm used to do this, and also because I find myself in my own situation to much more comfortable in using a real synth rather than a soft synth. That doesn't mean that I don't use soft synths. I usually combine them together, as you saw in this example. Now let's check the last part of this demo, which is the part of the groove before this one, so you can see exactly how the track evolves. As you can see, because it's always the same groove with the same sound with small differences that keeps it alive, I put some squeaks from saxophone. There is, for example, again another sound from the Memory Moog, which is the the same sound that I use in many other songs. It's a preset from the original Memory Moog synth. I believe if you have the soft version, it might have the same or similar sound. And it's immediately recorded and it sounded well on many sequences. This is also one of the big thing of having a proper synthesizer. But again, if you have the virtual version of it, it should be done. It should be the same. You will ask, what is this? Maybe yes, maybe not. But this is me playing the flute. I have a traverse flute that I play from time to time. I'm not great at it, but I recorded with the AKG, and I just done one note, which is the tonic of this this track, and it's getting some more airs in the grooves, etc., etc. Okay, these little parts are only decorative, embellishment. They have the role to make the tracks a little bit better or less boring. Let's put it like that. They are not key parts. You can do whatever you want. If you improvise a little bit and you improvise over the track for minutes, you will be able to extract something like this. This guitar probably is one of the many performances, but one of my excellent guitarists. I probably tested the whole performance against the backdrop of this track, the bass and the synth, and I choose the part in a certain segment that was working well together with other sounds that are composing this block. This little part is quite significant because it's before the end of a bar where something else starts, and it's sort of an anticipation or a tension that builds up very quickly and goes in advance in order to make something which is completely different. All right, now let's listen to the last part of this track, which I've made for Lang Records. It's a little bricolage of sounds, which I created using the various synths that I have, physically and soft. So let's listen to this block in isolation to try to understand and remember and remind myself how I do it. This pad is probably a Juno 106 or something similar, and it's something that I've done very quickly. It's just a chord that I made with another one of my synths, but it again can be done with anything. Really, it's nothing special. This is the last one is a preset of the JV 2018. It's called Lounging or whatever it is. It's in the standard library. It's not in an additional cartridge, because you can buy expansions to the 2018. It's there is also another preset which is very good in the same synth, which is Anavox, which I usually use in this kind of ambient kind of tension things. There is also an Arpsolina that is a high sound, and as you can hear, there are a lot of variety of synths that are taken more or less from various sources, but mainly it's stuff that I and people in general, to do something like this, compose bit by bit, creating layers and layers of small little sounds that create interaction in between different melodies and little harmonies that embellish the tracks in order to not have the same bass and the same thing, even if it's groovy, even if it's nice to go on for minutes, but to create some musicality in order to create variation. This is, believe it or not, this is not one of my easiest Logic project. This is a very simple project. It's one of the basics, to be honest. There are things that are much more complicated, but of course I don't want to start this series with an overwhelming, set of tracks, because as a friend of mine said, don't show all the people here all my stamps, otherwise they freaked out. I don't want you freaked out. I don't want to think this guy is crazy. No, you can do this, but you need time and you need proper trial and error procedures, and try to get less bored as possible, because spending days in trying things when nothing happens, it can be quite frustrating. I know very well, but I know that sooner or later something will happen. This is why I am very confident, and even after weeks of trying combination, I finally find something, and it's a big party and it's a big hoorah. Okay, thank you very much for listening to this track. Now I will play the whole things until the end, and I hope you have liked it. Sorry if I've not covered all the aspects of this track, but if you want to write in your comment, if you want me to go back and play something special, some special parts that I have not covered in your opinion, I will be happy to listen to your feedback and do so.